the winner of COVID is digitalisation and automation. So digitalisation in general has increased. People have adopted it much, much more.
Welcome to the MTD podcast. I'm Giovanni Albanese, hosting today's show, a passionate engineer and a very proud member of the MTD team. It's a privilege to be back at the UK headquarters of DMG MORI, based in Coventry, a £1 billion global organisation and world-leading supplier of machine tools, automation and technology. Together we have embarked on a podcast journey looking at all aspects of the UK business and finding out what makes it so successful. Today we will be looking at lifecycle products, and we'll be discussing all products within this range, which include digitalisation. A really exciting podcast, this one. I'm joined today by two special guests. Firstly, Steve Finn, an industry leader, ambassador for engineering and managing director of DMG MORI UK. How the devil are you, Steve?
The devil's in the detail. I'm fine, Gio. Thank you very much indeed. Nice to see you back again.
Steve, thank you very much for having me back again and having MTDCNC at this fantastic facility. It's fantastic that you've opened the doors to us and kind of shedding light on everything that happens within the business. We also have the pleasure to be joined by John Adams, an industry expert with a wealth of experience and life cycle product specialist at DMG MORI UK. Now,
thank you.
Welcome, John.
Okay.
John, I've not really heard of life cycle products before, or for it to be categorised in this way. But before we get into this fascinating podcast, and I can't wait to really deep dive into it, can you just tell our audience a little bit about your experience? Where did you start? About your journey in engineering, please.
Okay, yes. So my journey in engineering started when I left school, and I did 20 years as a customer to machine tools and was a facility management, and ran about 100 machine tools in relationship to maintenance and making sure they ran and replacing them with new stock. So I had a vast experience. Then that company closed. I moved from sunny Devon to here, and now I work for DMG MORI. Previously I was with for another OEM, and I've been here for about 8 years.
No, brilliant. And this podcast is really relevant to our current climate, and we'll get onto that shortly. But Steve, today we are discussing this subject. Can you start by giving our audience an overview of what life cycle products mean at DMG MORI?
Yes, what we've done is we formalised it into a position which we can offer various services and products to really enhance the capabilities of the machine, give the customer better efficiency, and utilise the machine a lot better. And you know, there are many products in there. John will go through those individual products that all have a meaning to somebody, and sometimes every single product can be put together to actually give the benefit to the customer. What we're looking at here is we're looking after customers long term. It's not about selling a piece of cast iron, getting in and getting out. It's about building that relationship, working with the customer, making sure that he gets the best efficiency from the machine, and we of course then enjoy repeat business.
So effectively, Steve, you're adding value through these products, and you're kind of really like getting the best out of the machine tool, getting the best longevity from the machine tool through these products.
Adding value is certainly a key term, isn't it? So yes, that's what we're doing, and the customer's always looking to improve, and these are various ways to improve.
Thanks, Steve. Now, in a digitalised world, not just at DMG MORI, but around the world, and certainly after COVID, digitalisation is increased massively. You know, it's gone to a completely different level. John, can you firstly break down the different products that we're going to be talking about in this podcast?
Okay, so we have a number of products. We have My DMG MORI, which is the online portal. We have Net Service, which is a remote access to increase uptime. We have Messenger. That is a product that monitors the machine and allows the customer to see exactly what's going on with the machine 24/7. We also have another product called WorkBlick. That product is all about managing the facility, managing the machine tool, and managing everything around it, including the environment to make sure it's more efficient, and so that product is more efficiently made because everything's ready on time.
Right, I want to start with my DMG MORI. We've touched upon this in previous podcasts, but I want to really deep dive into this again. In a world now where we need to be more and more competitive every day, just to stay competitive amongst ourselves, but more importantly, globally, tell us about my DMG MORI and how it works.
So my DMG MORI is an online portal that can be accessed through any mobile device or PC, which means it's available 24/7. So all the information I'm talking about is available 24/7. In principle, the most important thing is you can log if there's a fault on your machine 24/7. So as soon as it's logged, it will go onto our system, and our service experts can then assess what's wrong, or a spare part can be processed, or applications issue can be addressed. Also within it, you've also got the manuals for all the machines. You have all the commercial documents such as invoices and credits, and all your service reports, so that you have a full overview of the machine. You don't need to go and look through different places. You don't have to put it in different folders and files and speak to different departments. You've got all the data in one source. And finally, there's one area that's called My Documents, which is just for you, for your business, so that if you've got specific setups or you've got issues with machines that you may have quick fixes for, or putting on certain fixtures for certain jobs, you can go into those files and have a look and draw those down for your machine.
So this is the first step into digitalisation the DMG MORI way. It sounds expensive, is it?
No, this is free of charge to any DMG MORI customer, and it should be signed up and just taken and used, and there's no security risk. It is a portal very similar to like Amazon or other websites, so there's no interaction of information.
No hidden costs?
No hidden costs, no nothing. In actual fact, you get 10% discount on shipping if you order your parts. So it's free, and we give you something for using it.
And it's a way of a place in a way to have all of your information on all of the products that your client has or they've got. It's a portal for information, effectively.
Yeah, and it's very, very easy for them to use. So, for example, let's say a works manager maybe leaving the company at 7 o'clock in the evening. He's got a particular issue with one of the machines. He can get a picture of that machine, and he can change that picture to suit whatever. But generally, it's a static picture of the machine model. He can press that button. That will automatically ask what he wants to do. I want to request a service engineer. Press the button, bump. It comes straight through to us. Now, the responsibility is for us to respond back. So in normal business hours, 8 o'clock the next morning, we're straight on the phone to the customer. Right, this is your problem. You've reported this problem. This is what you can do. But the whole idea with this digitisation is it will go further. And in the future, and in the very near future, what will happen is that particular guy said, I've got a problem with my tool changers locked up on a particular machine. On that particular machine, the first thing it would do will send a video through to the customer on how to unlock it himself. Now, he may wish to use that, or he may not want to use it, he might want us to come in and do it. But either way, we're available, and it's our responsibility to come back to him at 8 o'clock the next morning. So it's a very transparent, everybody can see what's going on. It's a very simple system to use, very, very simple system to use, and it stores all the data in one place. Easy. Generally speaking, what will happen is customer rings the supplier, the machine tool supplier. First thing he says is, what's the machine's serial number? Well, I don't know, because I've got 7 of them on the shop. I don't know, it was number 7. Well, we don't know what number 7 is. Yeah? And he's gone, so he doesn't know the serial number. In this case, it's just the picture. It's that one. Bump. And we got all the data. We've got the serial, we've got the history of the machine. Everything sits in front of us immediately.
That was my next question, actually, Steve. Does it kind of keep all of the history of the machine tools that they have?
Everything.
That's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, and as John said, things like your accounts, your invoicing, your manuals, all of this information is kept online, and we will develop it further and further and further.
Steve, have you, prior to COVID, I know for a fact that a lot of people looked at digitalisation, Industry 4.0 as a little bit of a gimmick. I don't think they do anymore. I think they're actually taking it seriously now, and they can really see tangible benefits in efficiency and productivity through digitalisation. Have you seen the adoption of My DMG MORI increase since COVID hit?
Well, yes and no. What we have seen increase, and the winner of COVID, is digitalisation and automation.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, digitalisation in general has increased significantly, and people have adopted it much, much more. But we had quite a good take-up previously with My DMG MORI because it's unique in the machine tool industry. You know, why wouldn't we want to be transparent with our customers? So every day, we've still only got something like 50% of the machines signed up in the UK, and we've got 9,000 odd machines. So there's still a long way to go for people to get this benefit.
Well, for me, it sounds, a no-brainer, really, especially with it being free of charge. The benefits that you actually get for it sound fantastic. There's a lot of work that's gone into that, I would imagine. Now, John, moving on to the other products now. So the My DMG MORI is kind of your kind of foot in the door, if you like, into your digitalisation products. Where do I go from there?
So the next level is net service. Net service is a remote access so that our service experts, our applications department can then access your machine or the customer's machine.
Why would you want to do that?
So if the machine breaks down, we can then see what the fault is. We can see the alarms. We can see the status of the control, the inputs, the outputs. And our service experts then can work out if they can fix it online or if it needs an engineer. But if it needs an engineer, it gives a good idea of what parts may be required. Also, we sell a camera with it, which goes with the package, and the camera can be like a video stream. So, for instance, if you're programming and there's an issue programming, then you could visualize it on the screen and watch the program and see what's going wrong and see why. And the same if you've got a tool change, you're trying to get someone to repair a tool changer, you can use the camera to video stream what they're doing and advise them the best way of doing it. So it'd be just like having a service engineer sat beside you telling you what to do. The only difference is they will be in an office somewhere.
So how many scenarios do you get that you can actually solve, or problems you get that you can actually solve remotely? Is it quite a high percentage?
At the moment, it's about a 50% fix rate.
Wow.
And just to give you some idea, we've had one engineer fix 4 different machines throughout the country, which if in a normal circumstance, you would have had to wait a day for an engineer.
How long did it take him to fix the 4 machines?
1 day to fix all 4. Yeah, all 4. So normally the driving alone would have been probably 2 days. So, and then he'd have to get there. So by doing it remotely, the machine was put right back up and running. He was a skilled software engineer, so he could use it. That because of his specific training, he could do it, and because of the specific fault, he could do it, which means that they're up and running within 2 or 3 hours.
And that ultimately, that's what it boils down to.
That's what it does,
it?
yeah.
I mean, the end user wants his machine tool up and running because that's what's making him money and paying the bills.
We've spoken about service and all the other things that we supply here. Actually, a customer doesn't want to see them. You know, in the best world in the world, they doesn't want to see our service guys. Because they want productivity. So to give them that productivity, and that example echoed around this company very strongly because that particular engineer was based in Huddersfield, and he repaired the 4 machines: one in Devon, one in Newcastle, one in York, and one in Chelmsford, all on the same day. Probably did it all within a few hours as well.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And guess what? Free of charge.
But did he get a pay rise?
No, because it's free of charge. He worked for us free of charge. No, that was a free of charge. So
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
this is how we want to look after our customers. This is why we want to be a market leader. You can't be a market leader and then sit there and say, oh, we'll deliver in a service engineer the next day. It's not good enough.
So you're creating a win-win scenario, is that correct to say?
I
Is that
hope
fair
so.
to say?
I hope so. I hope the customer wins. I hope the customer keeps his productivity, and I hope we keep repeat business.
Yeah. And this is not the only product that you offer. Now, John, this is just one of another 3 products.
That's right.
So let's move on to Messenger.
Yeah.
Can you tell me and our audience what Messenger is and everything that it entails?
Okay, so Messenger is a tool that you can monitor the production and what your machine is actually doing live, like once again, on any mobile device, on any PC, so that you can have big screens up in your workshop so you can show your employees what it's doing. Or, for instance, a weekend, if your machine is running automation, you can make sure it's running. And it's online with all the data of the spindle. And the spindle running, you can see if the feed overrides have been changed, which program is running, how long each part's taken. So you can use it to analyse what the machine is doing, what it's done, where you can improve, and how the machine can become more efficient, and how you can manage your staff more efficiently, because they can also have alarms on it. So when the machine stops working, the alarm will flag up. So even if you're in a working day and you've got a large environment with 4 or 5 automation machines that are spread, you can be, if it stops working, you can go and look at it instead of waiting to think it's still finished when it's not finished because the spindle stopped for some reason. So you get an alarm and say the spindle stopped, and off you go and fix it.
So is it monitoring the uptime of the machine?
Yes, it's monitoring the uptime, and it will give you weekly, daily reports automatically in different formats so that you can see what it's doing.
And if the uptime needed to be increased, if the efficiency was quite low, how would they then, from that information gathering, how would they then increase their efficiency and productivity?
I think the first would be to see that when the spindle was running, be the first thing. It may be stopped running during tea breaks and lunch breaks and things like that. So it'd be the first easiest one to do. Then you could look at your speeds, feeds, also night shift and things like that. Sometimes people turn the feed overrides down so the machine's running slightly less, so they can do other things. So you'd see if the feed overrides are running at what they should be, and basically analyse the program and make sure the program is running. And when the spindle is turning, why isn't it turning? Is it because they're going to have a coffee? Is it because they're loading a new part? Or whatever, you don't know. And that will help you find that.
I mean, is it a case that the machine tool monitoring is also kind of bringing a sense of accountability onto the shop floor?
It's certainly giving accountability, and yes, we've had some people look at it in different ways, shall we say, but overall it makes the business more efficient, it makes it more profitable, and secures the environment for those employees. So it makes the machine more accountable to the person who's using it or in control of it.
And Steve, what kind of success have you seen from this Messenger so far?
We monitor it. I haven't got the figures in front, but we monitor the usage of it throughout each month, and that's actually monitored through group as well. So we look at that, and we encourage people to use it. There are still a lot of people that just want to use the telephone, but the smart people will be linking into this. And that example we said with 4 machines getting up, each of those customers spoke to us and said, great, thank you very much, and off they get. But that's what they expect. That's the level of expectation that comes from purchasing a DMG MORI on there. I just wanted to say also what John was saying there, just reiterate, because he said it at the beginning, all of these software packages can be accessed via any mobile device, so anywhere in the world. So you can be sitting in an airport, on a beach, in the golf course, wherever you need to be, the important things in life, yeah? And you can look at the productivity and security of your machines and understand what's going on. And, you don't need somebody to give you a report on it. It's there. It's live.
I think that sometime in the future that factories and production facilities will be nearly completely run remotely to a certain degree. I can see that day coming, and to increase efficiency in a machine tool, let's get this clear now. People are paying a lot of money for that machine tool, you know, hundreds of thousands of pounds, if not millions. You know, I think it's a cardinal sin if you're not utilising that machine tool and keeping that spindle running, because at the end of the day, that is what they've paid for that machine tool to do. So would you say that some of these benefits are really kind of giving your end user the productivity gains? That the machine tool is one thing, but this is really further enhancing it to actually, they might be making money, but now they're making a lot of money because of these products on top, if they're used correctly.
Yes, if they're used correctly, because what they're meaning is that the machine's producing, and as long as it's producing, it's making parts, as long as it's good parts, it's making money. And for instance, I know 2 examples using Messenger. I think I've touched on one. They've got 5 machines and they're in 2 different areas for automation, and they presume that they will run for 3 hours and then they need to change the parts. If the machine stops, they don't go back until that 3-hour period. So they want Messenger on it so that they know when the machine is running. Also, very simple, at weekends with bar feed machines, talking to someone, they use it, so when the bar runs out at the weekend, one of their staff goes in who's nominated for that weekend and refills the bar, and the machine carries on running. So they have 2 days of production, lights out, without staff, which they didn't have before.
Again, game changer. I think that everyone needs to be running 24/7 if they can, and they've got the work to do so. It makes perfect sense, 24/7. Now, they can't produce unless they maintain the machines. You know, they'll start breaking down. So what kind of packages have you got for that?
So what we offer now is a package called WorkBlick, and WorkBlick is a proactive management maintenance system. So this takes on all the activities that should be done through maintenance. It is fully programmable by yourself. It's really, really simple to use. It is very similar to my DMG MORI, and my DMG MORI is probably the baby version, and WorkBlick is the next step. So basically what it means is that you can put in figures, you can ask to do things. So when you start using your machine, you can look at the machine, check the coolant to make sure that it's the right level, put the figure in. You can see, if you're very particular, you want to say check the squareness of the spindle, etc., before you start making parts, because you may be making very expensive parts. Or you may be running Kaizen, or different types of Sigma, and so you want to see your work environment. So when your next shift operator comes in, he just ticks off and says, the area is as it should be, all my tools are there, I don't have to go and look for them, I can start working immediately as the shift starts. Or you can leave shift notes. So basically with that, it gives an outcome, a good or bad outcome. And if it's a bad outcome, then automatically the manager will know about it, because it's proactive, as I said. And so, for the interesting one is coolant. People get dermatitis, and so for managers, as long as that's checked every day and it's managed, then you're protecting your staff and you're protecting your business for ongoing legal reasons. So with WorkBlick, you fill it into yes, tick, and if it's over limit, it will send a little alarm and message to someone to do it.
How many machines can WorkBlick service?
It's 1,000 machines. It will just go on. But we in the UK we sell it on a basis of 10 machines, and then it goes up from there. So 10 is the usual. But other things you can use on it. So for instance, your fire extinguishers, your ladders, any of your other equipment that you may use, pat testing can also be on there. And the bit I like, all your inspection equipment can be installed to it as well. So that if any of that equipment goes out of the limits, as a manager you will know, and then you can get it recalibrated, repaired. So it takes away administration time.
So it's a complete package, all of these products. And Steve, we talk about, we're talking about life cycle products. Now, for me, that means longevity of the machine tool. You want your clients to get the best longevity and the best out of that machine tool. And you can't do it without maintaining it. As much as you think that you can, maintenance is key, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, people use machines very hard, and quite rightly so, that's what they're purchased for. So for 1 minute, they're roughing off great big lumps of metal, and then the next minute, you're asking it to bring a nice little cutter in to work within microns. So that spindle's got to be very robust. And, the spindles that we supply now, the Spindle Speedmasters, which have 3-year unlimited warranty from day one, are capable of doing that. But like everything in life, things need looking after. Things need tightening up, and a little bit of polishing here and there, and maybe consumable parts, and certainly oils and such like need to be replaced. You can't just keep using the machine indefinitely without maintenance, because you will suffer poor downtime, without a doubt, on anybody's machine. That's a fact of life. And of course, some of the stuff we're looking at as well gives you the opportunity to increase the productivity and making sure that whilst that spindle is running, you're getting the very, very best from it. That's the driver here.
I mean, life cycle products that you offer, I think it speaks for itself that the productivity and efficiency gains that you get. But Steve, you're going to be tapping into your clients' networks, if you like. You're going to have control of the machine tools. What kind of security is there in place? Like the cyber security? John, maybe you might be in a good place to answer that.
So for Messenger, it's on your own server. So it's an internal network that can be accessed via a mobile device using a VPN. So we all know them. With Net Service, that is a standalone system, and when we need to connect it to our servers so that we can talk, then it sends out a connection. The connection is made, and the connection, I always describe it's like a little spider. The spider goes out, makes its web, it links, they all talk to each other, and then the information goes up and down through the internet, is encrypted the same way as WhatsApp. So no, even if you break into the tap, you can't see it. And then when it's finished, the spider comes back its web and cuts the web, and there's nothing left. So there's no way that your system can be hacked. It's also got a German security system certificate, which means it's inspected regularly and tested, and it's never failed yet in the years that I know. With the portal, that is much like an Amazon web page, and there is no data cross, so there is no risk. And
so no security
problem.
risks at all then, John. Now, Steve, going back to the theme of productivity and efficiency, which is ultimately the most important thing for any user, any end user, reducing cost per part, have you got any kind of stats or analytics on the kind of average savings you would expect from the life cycle products?
John, that's in your area, I'm afraid. But, what we've seen is, customers purchasing goods have seen a much better throughput. And I think the difficulty there comes is the customer sharing his financials with us, which he doesn't want to, and quite rightly so. So we don't know really what savings they do. But the reality is people come back and buy more. So they either add on to their existing equipment, maybe they do some trials in the first instance, and we've not yet done trials which haven't resulted in future, further purchases. So therefore that kind of speaks for itself. And of course, what we're looking here is we're looking to retain the customer. That's the biggest stat that we want. We want to retain our customers on repeat business.
I think with this kind of product as well, Steve, aren't you kind of even further becoming such a much closer partner with your end user, because you've started to learn more about their business than maybe you did before. So that gives you more knowledge about what they do right, what they do wrong, what they're doing indifferently. But ultimately, the collaboration and the partnerships become stronger. Is that safe to say?
That's very true, and that's about the transparency and the knowledge, because we've got several thousand customers out there, and we can't be in touch with all of them and understand all their business. But by putting this link with us, we can now have a better understanding of what they want. And I sort of align that to your subcontractor, who may have 5 or 6 customers that they look after so well. They do such a good job with their customer base in general, subcontractors, because they live, eat and breathe that customer. They know them inside out. And I've even seen contractors advising OEMs on really the better way to do things in business in general, not just about machine tools. And that's because they know them. And then we've got to get to that stage. We've got to understand our customers much, much better so we can be much more proactive rather than reactive. So things like the net service will take us down the route eventually to, ringing the customer up and saying, well, you're going to need to replace that particular bearing in 3 months' time, so we can schedule something in. And that kind of thing is much more, proactive than waiting for the customer to have a failure. And that comes back to John's, planned maintenance.
I think it's very honest. I think that at the end of the day, I think that you're extending the longevity of the machine tool. So some may see that as you'll sell less machine tools, but ultimately their success is your success, because if they become more profitable, more efficient, they then can invest in more machine tools. Absolutely. And you become successful together.
It's quite simple, isn't it? It's quite straightforward formula. But it's amazing how many people don't do it. And the reality is it's very difficult to collate all this information when you've got many thousands of customers and keep on top of it. So this is a very, very simple system.
Steve, for me, when you're getting into this, sorry, John, for me, when you're getting into this realm, it's kind of, you're not just selling a machine tool anymore. You're completely working as a partner with the end users, because you're going a lot further than just selling a product. You're kind of working hand in hand.
Yeah,
trusted supplier.
Yeah, and if you want to quantify what we've done, there is one you could do on the Workblick website. A customer called AML. They have put an article about Workblick and how efficient, and they call it a game changer and how they couldn't work without it. And I think that article is really worth to read.
Where can you find that article?
If you go to the Workblick. Spelled WERKBLIQ, and then it'll come up, and then you can review it, and then you'll see customer reviews on the bottom, and it is really an interesting article you could read.
So great testimonial there. And I think that really this has been a fantastic podcast, really insightful. We're coming to the end of it, but any last thoughts, Steve? I mean, for me, I could go on a lot longer and a lot more in depth in this particular podcast, but any last thoughts, John?
We have got planned maintenance, so also part of the package is we have a team of 9 guys that do the planned maintenance, and they go out and service. We sell contracts, we sell single services, we even sell, part of our partnership, we sell training for them to carry out their own servicing and give a key, so that we supply the service kits and then the customers service their machines, and they have a key to remove the alarm code. So the maintenance plus package is what we do mainly and what we recommend. But the idea is that we try and put a package that suits the customer.
So effectively, you tailor making these packages.
That's correct.
And you're making them self-sufficient as well by kind of giving them training if they want that. John, it's been an absolute pleasure. Steve, any last thoughts on life cycle?
Well, life cycle products, like all of our departments, is fairly critical to how the company functions. And it's not, as I said earlier, it's not about just landing a piece of metal and letting the customer get on with it. We want to stay in touch with them. We want to offer them some opportunities to increase their productivity. And, life cycle products does that. And life cycle products, as you see, will work with service. It does the maintenance. We've got our own life cycle product maintenance team. So that's over and above what we spoke about with Andy with his 30-odd people. And, this is, again, one of the departments that I want to open up to the customers to make them aware of what we can do and also be very transparent in how we do it.
Steve, I think you've been extremely transparent, and thank you very much, John and Steve.
I'm saying, if you ever want me to visit to come through the product, just make a phone call and I'll be there.
John, thank you. So for all of our audience that have listened to this podcast and you didn't really understand what Industry 4.0 was, digitalisation and how it could benefit your business, I hope this has really given you an insight how DMG MORI can benefit your business and improve your efficiency and productivity. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to contact DMG MORI directly, and please send us any feedback on this podcast. Until next week, the MTD Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.